Welcome back to Duel Academy. Today we're jumping back into Tag Force 3, of course, and showing off yet another jank deck. This time, we're taking a look at Geminis. Geminis were an all-new type of monster introduced in the late GX era that had a very strange gimmick. These monsters are treated as normal monsters when first put on the field or when they're in the graveyard, but they can be turned into effect monsters if you normal summon them a second time while they're already face up on the field. As you might be able to tell, there are a few inherent issues with this mechanic. Most obviously is the fact that this is just very slow. They require twice the amount of summons just to get their effect, and honestly the effects they get are super underwhelming for all that investment. It also doesn't help things that we're looking at this in Tag Force 3 specifically, because this is before a lot of the decent Gemini support came out, so the pool of Gemini cards is also really small. But regardless, I think I've found a way to actually make a competent deck using Geminis, and that is the focus of today's video. Our main strategy here is to abuse Blazewing Butterfly as much as possible. Gemini Summoner and the Gemini Fusion allow us to get Blazewing Butterfly online faster, and by pairing Butterfly with Card of Safe Return, we can generate a bunch of extra draw power. It's definitely not perfect, but at least there's a decent strategy there. Why don't we just put it to the test in a few duels? Okay, duel number 1, we're taking on Goggle. I decide to open by just summoning the Ancient Gear Knight. Now, Ancient Gear Knight, it really is nothing special. It's just an 1800 beater. I could be playing Neos Alias instead, which has 1900, but I choose to play the Ancient Gear Knight because it at least has an effect that has some practical use. I go ahead and summon the Snipe Hunter here, clear out the face down. It turns out to be a Sangan, which is kind of unfortunate, but we can go ahead and clear those Doomsday tokens out real fast, and then we can just set the Mirror Force and pass. A basic T-set is really not too threatening, but unfortunately the Raigeki break is going to take out the Ancient Gear Knight. I go ahead and fire off the Snipe Hunter trying to take out the face down, and we miss the first roll. Unfortunate, but I do it again because I just really don't want Goggle to resolve the effect of something like a Mystic Tomato. It turns out to be a Spirit Reaper, which is equally a good hit. Because of the fact that we've been able to remove all of Goggle's defenses, she really doesn't have anything going here. We're able to use the Dragon's Mirror to summon out Super Alloy Beast Raptinus, our fusion monster. This makes all of our Gemini monsters instantly have their effects upon summon, so I can summon out the Dark Valkyria and gain the counter. That way it goes up to 2100 attack. I played the Raptinus in defense, just fearing something like a Mirror Force. I obviously don't have the discard fodder to try to snipe that back row, so I just want to be pretty careful here. Going into the next turn, we really don't need Future Fusion at this point. I just ditch it with the Snipe Hunters to get rid of the back row, because Dark Valkyria can then remove that counter to blow up the monster. We can switch Raptinus to attack mode and go ahead and get in for game. For Duel 2, we're taking on Dark Magician Girl, and I open with a really weird hand, 2 Card of Safe Return, 2 Solemn, Swing of Memories, and the Morphing Jar. I guess we have no other option than to go for the Morphing Jar, huh? Thankfully, no Heavy Storm comes out. She attacks right into it, and we get to draw 5, which is nice, but now all of our back row is clogged up. I decide to, I think, eventually just summon the Gemini Summoner. It's really the only thing that I can do. Now, Gemini Summoner is interesting, but it can only survive battle once per turn, which is kind of unfortunate. I really don't want the Gemini Summoner to get destroyed, so I use a Desperation Solemn on the Magician's Valkyrie, of all things, to save it. This clears up some back row and allows us to use the Gemini Summoner effect in the end phase, pay 500 to normal summon a Gemini during their turn, and I get out the Chthonian Emperor. Unfortunately, we're going to walk right into a Mirror Force, and I don't feel like burning my other Solemn to stop it. I go ahead and flip up the 2 Card of Safe Return that we have on the board. I can't play the third one because obviously we don't have the spell trap space, but I can use Monster Reborn to summon back the Chthonian Emperor, and then we're going to be able to draw 2. We can go ahead at this point and just set the Mirror Force and pass back. Nothing too crazy. We were able to get some draw power. Unfortunately, she can use the effect to summon Dark Magician now, and she has the Dark Magic attack. I'm forced to negate that and then Mirror Force the Dark Magician, so that way we can keep the Chthonian Emperor alive. I go ahead and summon out a Blazewing Butterfly because I really want to get Blazewing active and going, especially since we have all 3 card of safe return. The quicker we can start using this card's effect, the better. She actually only sets. I am surprised she didn't have anything that could get over 1500, but hey, I'm not complaining. I used the Blazewing as tribute fodder for the Chthonian Emperor that we have in the hand and swing over that weak little monster. At this point, 11 turns into the duel. This is where we can finally start popping off. All 3 card of safe returns are active. I summon the Blazewing Butterfly, draw 3 cards, and then we're going to be able to do it all over again. Now we're going to get another Chthonian Emperor who can attack twice, and I'm going to be able to draw 3 more cards. And hey, look at that, we found the MST, that's quite handy. At this point, we pretty obviously have the game in the bag, but discarding at the end phase is actually not a bad thing since I can go ahead and load up the graveyard with Gemini monsters. I can then use Birthright on the end phase, summon back the Blazewing, and guess what? We get to draw 3 more cards. And it's at this point that I decide to just completely style for no reason other than to see how many cards I could draw. And just like that, only 2 cards left in our entire deck, and we have the Dark Valkyria who can pop the face down monster, so that way there's absolutely no risk at all going in to end the game. Duel 3, we're just taking on a random obelisk blue student. This is Jules. Apparently I only had 1 duel against her on this save, and I could not remember what kind of deck she played, so I just wanted to try it out. I go ahead and set the Blazewing. She does not have anything that can take it out, apparently. I MST the set Fissure, not sure why you would ever set that card. Tribute summon the Chthonian Emperor Dragon, and we walk into an Old Vindictive. Very unfortunate. But in all honesty, it's not the worst thing in the world because we've actually got the ball rolling on our Blazewing Butterfly combo early. I use the Reborn with the card of safe return to summon back Blazewing, draw a card, get the 2nd card of safe return, which is nice. And then we can use Blazewing's effect to summon back the Chthonian Emperor, and we get another Pot of Greed here to draw 2 more cards. Unfortunately, it's just 2 more butterflies, which is pretty terrible draws, but it's okay. We're able to swing in for 24 at face with Chthonian and pass back. But of course, DD Warrior Lady is just going to be able to banish our Emperor Dragon, which is very unfortunate because now we can't use it for any sort of graveyard shenanigans. Thankfully, she's left wide open and we can swing in for 15 with the Gemini Summoner, and she's just going to T-set on her turn, and we can go ahead and use the effect to summon out Dark Valkyria from our hand, and it gets Raigeki broke. Okay, well, I don't really know what the win condition of her deck is, but it sure is getting on my nerves at this point, and Old Vindictive takes out the Gemini Summoner, and it's just removal after removal. At this point, we have no other option other than to utilize our most effective strategy, that being Blazewing Butterfly Beatdown, I guess. Scapegoat is going to block the 1500 that was meant for the direct attack, and we're going to get held back a little while longer. The Treeborn comes back, of course, and she's just stalling. At this point, I go ahead and activate the third card of Safe Return, use the Butterfly, summon back the Dark Valkyria in hopes that drawing 3 cards here will get me to something that will help out. And hey, I gotta say, Birthright and Future Fusion, those are 2 very good cards. Snipe Hunter also giving us some nice removal. That is pretty much the best 3 draws we could have asked for. And now with this Birthright, we are really off to the races, drawing another 3 cards and then being able to use the Butterfly to draw another 3 cards again. You can see how this deck, once it gets rolling, starts to really snowball advantage. It may have taken till turn 15, but let's just ignore that little detail. The Lightning Vortex is certainly a valiant effort, but it's really not going to matter, especially because, guess what? Future Fusion gets to resolve, which is an absolute miracle, but I guess she just doesn't have a whole lot of spell trap removal. Out comes the Blazewing Butterfly, and we're going to try to draw the entire deck. And with that, we officially have drawn every single card in our deck. Alright, so what is my final thoughts on the Gemini deck? Well, again, this is another deck that turned out much better than I was expecting. Using Blazewing Butterfly in combination with Card of Safe Return actually works really well, but it still can't quite escape the trappings of the Gemini mechanic, because the deck does still take a good few turns to actually get the ball rolling. You have to specifically have the 4-card setup of Blazewing in the graveyard, plus another Gemini in the graveyard, plus a graveyard revival spell, plus Card of Safe Return. And obviously setting that up, especially with the fact that you have to double summon the Geminis to get their effects naturally, it's just a pain. But still, the end result is much better than I was ever expecting, and I had a lot of fun experimenting with this. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like to let me know, and if you have a deck you would like to see me try out, make sure to leave it in the comments. As always, a full deck list for today's deck will be down in the description, and while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe for more Tag Force content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again soon.